The neighbor's dog. The neighbor's dog brought me a glove that wasn't mine. That's how it started. The dog is a golden mess named Bublik who loves everyone like a roomer. He trotted onto our porch with the glove clenched proudly in his mouth and dropped it at my feet. It was leather, soft, and smelled faintly of the cheap cologne worn by men who want to be believed. My wife said, "Oh, that's probably from the gardener." We don't have a gardener. We live in a row of houses that share gossip like power. You can hear a fight through a hedge and a confession through a fence if the wind has time. Our neighbor, Kirill, is a widower with a well-mannered sadness. He lends tools and returns them cleaner. He walks Bublik twice a day with the regularity of a clock that refuses daylight savings. My wife waves to him the way a person waves to a bus that will stop regardless. The second glove appeared in our laundry basket 2 days later, tucked under my running shorts like a stowaway. I stared at it the way you stare at a math problem that equals your own name. "It must have blown in," my wife said, which is a sentence that doesn't know how laundry baskets work. I put both gloves by the door, their fingers pointing toward the place where things leave. That weekend I fixed a shelf and pretended not to notice how long my wife spent on the phone in the spare room. Voices through drywall sound like weather. Bublik barked outside. I stepped onto the porch. Kirill was at the gate, one hand raised in apology. "He loves your place," he said. "Must be the smell of pancakes." We smiled. My wife came out with a biscuit in a napkin for the dog, and her face did what faces do when they remember something earlier than the person wearing them. That night around midnight, I woke to the sound of texting, those soft taps that are somehow louder than thunder when they happen in the dark. I lay still. The house stated its case. The fridge hummed, the heating sighed, the bed whispered a question I didn't answer. In the morning, my wife's phone sat face down on the counter with a new unlock code I had not been informed about. People forget to say more things than they lie about. Monday, I installed a cheap camera above the back door. Not because I didn't trust her, because I didn't trust myself to keep guessing when the guessing was turning me into a stranger. Tuesday at 11, the camera caught my wife on the porch with a man whose silhouette was familiar from block parties and shared ladders. They stood too close for neighbors and far enough to claim legality. He reached up to brush hair from her face the way a memory does. She let him. Bublik, off camera, must have wagged. The porch light carved a halo from nothing. I watched the clip 3 times and then stopped because 3 is the number of times you need to turn hurt into information. That evening I asked my wife if she could help me with a project on the porch. We stood where the light had been kind. I asked if she liked Kirill. She said he was harmless, a word that sits on the tongue like medicine that forgot to help. I said the dog had excellent taste in gloves. Her eyes widened a fraction, which is a whole confession if you know how to read faces. We fought without raising our voices. Our daughter was asleep. The walls didn't need new stories. My wife said she felt seen by someone who lived at a distance, that being close had made us clumsy. I said distance is an illusion invented by cowards. She said I was being cruel. I said cruelty and clarity sometimes borrow the same pen. She cried and said she hadn't crossed a line. I showed her the video. She said the line was in my head. The next day I returned the gloves to Kirill. He looked at them as if they were photos from a war. "I wondered where those went," he said, and didn't meet my eyes. "This is a neighborhood," I said, "not a hotel." He nodded, the polite nod people give when they have lost the argument before it began. Bublik rested his head on my knee as if to apologize for having honest taste. We tried rules. No visits, no messages, the usual treaties people sign under duress. They worked like umbrellas in a hurricane. A week later, I found a receipt in my wife's coat for a leash. "We don't have a dog." I sat on the steps and laughed, a sound that felt like a man opening a door to a room he'd already left. I didn't move out immediately. I learned how to live with a truth the way you live with a lamp that flickers whenever the wind remembers your address. Our daughter drew pictures of Bublik with a cape. My wife baked bread like forgiveness. Kirill mowed his lawn in straight lines with the concentration of a surgeon. Life is not a joke. It's a list you keep pretending is a poem. Eventually, I told my wife I wanted to sell the house. She asked if this was because of the dog. I said it was because of the porch. We packed boxes that had once brought us a couch and now would carry away the rest. On the last day, Bublik trotted over one more time, dropped a tennis ball at my feet, and looked at me with a faith I didn't deserve. I threw the ball. He brought it back. Some cycles are harmless. We live in an apartment now with a courtyard that belongs to the sky. No dogs. No porches. Windows that look at trees and not at men who mistake grief for permission. Sometimes I hear a bark from the street and think of gloves, and then I think of hands, and then I think of the way people touch anything that makes them feel less like a sentence they didn't write. Tell me your country and age. If a dog ever brought you the truth, I hope it was carrying something softer.